this video on box and whisker plots. By the end of this video, you should be able to calculate a 5-number summary and construct a box and whisker plot from the data, and analyze a box and whisker plot so you can answer questions about the data it represents. Alright, so hopefully this is a review of some of what you have covered previously. So a box and whisker plot, or sometimes it's called a box plot, is a way to display data on a number line by organizing it into 4 sections using a 5-number summary. So the box and whisker plot helps you visualize the distribution of the data. So when we look at our box and whisker plot, here's the 4 sections. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And those are called quartiles, and we will talk about those a little bit later in the notes. And the 5-number summary are these data values here that will help us construct this. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of where we're going with the notes. So let's remind you some of the important vocabulary. If you don't know the words, it's really hard to do the math for it. So your 5-number summary, the 5 numbers are your minimum value, your lower quartile, your median, your upper quartile, and your maximum value. So the minimum value is whatever the smallest number is. And a lot of times it will just be called the minimum. I'm going to skip and I'm going to do the median because we already talked about median. So remember, the median is the middle number. And it's the middle number when you put them in order, smallest to largest. Okay, so smallest to largest. Okay, and your maximum number, well, if the minimum is just the smallest number, your maximum is the largest number. Those are pretty straightforward. Now, these lower quartiles and the upper quartile. So the lower quartile is very often called the first quartile, or I will often refer to it as Q1, quartile 1. And so it is the lower end of the data, and so it's going to be the median of the lower half. Once you find the median of all the numbers, then you'll find the median again of the lower half. So the median of the lower half is your first quartile. Okay, and so your upper quartile is the third, it's the beginning of the third quartile. Q3 is what we would call that. Okay, and so that's the median of the upper half. Okay, so these are your 5-number summaries. The median is the very, very middle number. That is actually the second quartile, but we rarely refer to it as the second quartile. We almost always refer to it as the median. So your quartiles are the 4 sections that make a box and whisker plot. Okay, now think about it. 100% is the entire box and whisker plot. And if I'm breaking it into 4 sections, each section or each quartile will represent 25% of the data. All right, so let's take a look So we have our diagram here. So let's kind of talk about each section. I'm going to do this in red. So this is kind of what I was showing up here, the 4 sections. So this is your minimum. This is Q1. This is your median. This is Q3. And this is your maximum value. There's your 5 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so each section has 1/4 of the data. So 1/4 of the numbers will go in here. 1/4 will go in here. From the median to Q3 will be 1/4. And from Q3 to the max will be 1/4. So you can see that they can be different widths. It's still the same number of numbers in each section. It's just how different are the numbers. How big is their range in each section. Okay, and then the box from Q1 to Q3, that's half the data, and a lot of times we'll refer to that as the middle 50%. Okay. All right. And this middle 50% makes up something called the IQR, the interquartile range. Okay, and that's, you're going to take whatever Q3's number is minus Q1. It's a range number to kind of let you understand what's happening in the middle of the distribution. Okay, so let's try this, and hopefully you're remembering some of this, and this will come back to you pretty quickly. So we have our set of numbers. I'm going to go ahead and put them in order because we need to do some medians. So we'll have 5, 8, 10, 12, 14, 18, 21, 27, and 30. Okay, so the minimum is easiest. So let's get our 5 numbers. So here's our minimum. So I'm going to put them over here. Our maximum, that's our biggest number. He's pretty easy. So find your maximum and put that number there. All right. I like to do the median next. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. It's odd. That means there's an exact middle. So you could do this. A lot of people like to, this is very popular, where you kind of march yourself in. So my exact middle is right here at 14. I always double check. I say this is the middle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers to the right. I know I'm exactly in the middle now, so I selected the right number. So my median is 14. All right, so let's do our lower and upper quartiles. So remember, the lower quartile is also called Q1. It's the median of the lower half. So here's my lower half. Those 4 numbers, so I want the middle of that, which happens right there between 8 and 10. So you could ask yourself, what number is halfway between 8 and 10? Or if you needed to, 8 plus 10 divided by 2 is going to be 9. So that's my Q1. All right, Q3, or my upper quartile, is the median of the upper half. Again, there's 4 numbers, so the very middle happens here between those 2 numbers. What number is halfway between 21 and 27? Well, that's less obvious right off, so just add them together. 21 plus 27 divided by 2 would be 48 divided by 2, which is 24, is my third quartile. Okay. Now, to find the range, we talked about the range. Remember, that's your largest number minus your smallest number. So we have 30 minus 5, so my range is 25. And your IQR is the quartiles, because it says quartile in it, so you want to use quartiles to find it. Q3 minus Q1, so Q3 is 24, Q1 is 9, and 24 minus 9 is 15. All right, so what we want to do is draw it. We've got all of our numbers here. Let's go ahead and draw it. So usually what I'll do, I'm going to go mark the numbers. I got a minimum at 5. So you've got to have a number line on here. So I'm going to start at 4, and I need to go all the way up to 30. So I'm going to count by 2s. 4, 6, 8. So I've got the number line. Make a note for yourself. You must include the number line. Now we're going to put our box and whisker plot on this number line using our 5-number summary. So we have a minimum at 5, which is going to happen right there. A lot of times I'll just go ahead and write the number above it too to help me. I have a Q1 at 9. Okay. Then I have a median at 14. I have a Q3 at 24. And I have a maximum at 30. Okay, so the box goes between Q1 and Q3. And then we're going to put a line in it for the median. And then you're going to draw whiskers out to the outside points. So what this shows, now we can look, you can see when we split this up, I have 2 numbers in each section. So in each of these sections, there are 2 numbers, or 25% of the data. So even though this section is wider, it's because there's more space from the median to Q3 than there is from Q1 to the median. So there's still only 2 numbers here. They're just closer together than these 2 numbers. Okay, that's what the distance is between each of these. All right, so let's have you try one. Go ahead and try number 2. Flip this over and come back and check when you're done. All right, so let's take a look. I put my numbers in order. This one was nice because they all ended up being being odd in each section. So I have my minimum 64, my maximum 78. I found my median, and then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the lower half and 5 in the upper half, which have exact middles because they're also odd. And then I took my numbers, I transferred them on to a number line and drew my box and whisker plot. All right, so let's have you try one more. Try number 4, come back and check, see how you did. All right, so this one took just a little bit more work. Let's see how you did. I put everybody in order. I got my min and my max. And when I counted them up, there were 12, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. So the middle happened right between these 2 numbers. So I had 6 to the left and 6 to the right. What's halfway between 15 and 15? Well, 15. If you add them together, you get 30 divided by 2, you get 15. So you can use that method too, right? And then in my lower half, I had 6 numbers. So right in the middle, I had 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Halfway between 10 and 12 is 11. And then the same thing up here. I divided my Q3, so I had 3 to the left and 3 to the right. Halfway between 18 and 18 is 18. So I have my 5-number summary, and my range was 16, and my IQR was 7. All right, so what I want to do now is take a little bit of time to talk about the shape and how to read your box and whisker plot, because most likely you're not going to have to make it on an end of course test, but understanding how they're made helps you analyze them also. So let's flip this over. We're going to talk a little bit more about shape later, but I wanted to kind of get an introduction here because box and whisker plots are a little special. So there's 3 different kinds of shape that we talk about mainly. And so when we look at our box and whisker plot, do you see how the left-hand whisker is longer than the right-hand whisker? Okay, so this means when the left-hand whisker, it's something we called skewed left. And knowing the shape of the data kind of helps us understand a little bit more information about it. So we want to be able to identify a shape. So the left whisker is longer, But most of the data values are high. You just had a couple that are down low that maybe pulled you off over this way. So that's called skewed left. So I'm going to skip the middle one right now. And when we look at this one, you'll notice that this right whisker is longer than the left whisker. Same idea. The left whisker was longer, so we said it was skewed left. This one would be called a skewed right. Okay. So most of the data values are to the left, but you've got some that go to the right that are pulling it right. When we look at this one in the middle, the left and the right are pretty much the same. So we call that symmetric. And we'll go into this a little bit more later. Okay, so that's really all there is. You would just have to be able to identify, is the left whisker longer, the right whisker longer, or are they about the same? Okay, shape can be hard with a box and whisker plot, so we're kind of keeping it general right now. So let's take a look at this. We're going to identify these. So when I look at this, I notice that this right whisker is way longer than the left whisker. That's going to make it skewed right. Okay, so it's already made for us, which is nice. We don't have to make it. So we just have to look at the numbers and identify them. So we know our minimum is right there at 78. Our Q1 looks like it's at 79. Our median is at 81. Our Q3 is at 84. Our maximum is all the way up here at 90. So your range, remember, that's your largest minus your smallest, so that'd be the 90 minus 78, which is 12. And then your IQR is your Q3 minus your Q1, so that's an IQR of 5. Okay, so what I want you to do is try this next two. Stop the video and give them a try and come back and check. All right, so take a look at number 7. Both of those whiskers are approximately the same. They might not be identical, but they're really close, so we're going to call it symmetric. And then we just pulled the numbers off. So minimum 21, Q1 25, median 28, Q3 30, maximum 33, range 12, and IQR 5. And then in number 8, our left whisker was longer than our right whisker, so we called it a skewed left. Minimum 12, Q1 15, median 15.5, Q3 17, maximum 18, range 6, and IQR 2. All right, so let's take a look. The double box and whisker plot. So a lot of times you'll see this where they'll compare two distributions, so they're on the same number line, so you're able to look at them and answer questions about them. So let's take a look. Which statement could be true? So this one's multiple choice. Sometimes you got to pay attention. Are they asking 4 different questions, or is this one question that's multiple choice? So the range in test scores is exactly the same. Well, is it? So this is, the range here is 90 minus 45, which is 45. The range here is 100 minus 50, which is 50. That's not true. Okay, so it can't be A. B, both classes have the same median test score. Well, the median, remember, is the line in the box, and they are definitely not the same. So that is not true. C, exactly half of the students in Class A scored less than the median of the scores in Class B. Okay, so Class A, half of the students in Class A, so this would be, half of them would be, remember there's 25%, so this is 50% right here. So that's half the class scored less than the median in Class B. Well, it's not exactly half, it's more than half, because when I look, here's the median Class B, it lines up with Q3, so that's actually 25%, 25%, 25%. That's actually 75% of the kids in this class scored less than the median in Class B. So it can't be C. So you go, oh, it's D, but let's talk through it. Half of the students in Class B scored higher than 3/4 of the students in Class A. That is literally what we just looked at here. Half of the students in Class B scored higher. So they're talking about these guys. Then 3/4 of the students in Class A. Well, 3/4, there's 3 out of the 425. So that's where they lined up. So 75% is lower than this 50%. So D is the true statement here. All right, hopefully that was helpful. We'll go through some more examples in class. See you soon.